Hey everybody. I wasn't sure if we were live. Welcome. Welcome to another live streaming meditation with Healthy Minds Innovations. My name is Jay. If you're joining us for the first time, you should know these live streaming meditations are put on by a great nonprofit that works to translate the science of well-being into practical tools, including an app called the Healthy Minds Program and live streaming sessions like this, as well as a number of other programs. And today we're gonna practice letting go a little bit, which can be pretty challenging sometimes. There's so much to grab onto. There's so much to do. There's so much to get done. There's so much to worry about. But sometimes we really kind of need to let go. One of the ways I like to frame this, and maybe I say this at the risk of bringing my own ideology to the table a little bit, but a lot of what we do, and I use that word intentionally, do in the modern world, is kind of rooted in this intellectual framework that we have about the world, right? If you think about it, you're currently looking at a pattern of light on a screen. And even those things, pattern, light, screen, those are just words and concepts that we have. If you really look at me right now, what you're seeing is, certain colors and textures. You're seeing shapes and shadows. And we, in our minds, one of our superpowers is that we're able to interpolate all this information into a framework to understand the world. We have this rational, discursive mind. We have this faculty of language, and really it's something that sets us apart. In reality, we also have this more felt sense, this sense of awareness, this sense of being that perhaps we share more with the animals. This sense of presence with the sense experience and connection with our biological selves, our bodies. And sometimes it's important to understand this distinction in the context of your mindfulness practice, that a loop that I've been caught in a number of times and will continue to be caught in is framing and thinking about my mindfulness practice with only this rational, logical, discursive mind, which is that here are the techniques and here's my understanding of those techniques and here's how I frame them and here's how I'm going to apply them and here's how they're going to make me better, etc., etc. And so sometimes it can help to really balance that with a sense of letting go by trying to spend your time not trying. And I think it's a really important distinction between not doing anything or doing nothing and stopping trying to do anything. So if that was a tongue twister, let's try it again. Trying to do nothing has a sense of effort, that you're putting effort to do nothing, putting effort into relaxing, putting effort into letting go. That's different from stopping trying to do anything. Or we can even shorten that and we can just say, stop trying. So that's what we're going to do for the next 10 minutes. We're just going to stop trying and see how that feels and see if we can reconnect with just being in the moment without a sense of trying to get somewhere or improve something or do something or fix something. Let's see if we can just stop trying. So find a comfortable position, anything that feels safe and okay for you. If you need to lie down, I recommend doing so in a way that isn't so comfortable that you might fall asleep. If you're sitting upright, I recommend finding a kind of awakeness and a heightened position, but also a relaxed state. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes if you prefer. I'm going to keep mine open so I can see you. And just take a moment to stop trying to do anything. The only exception might be holding yourself up in posture. But other than that, just stop trying to do anything. And maybe the first thing you can stop trying to do is stop trying to meditate. It may have felt like you came here with a certain intention to do a thing, do a special thing. But maybe just stop trying. Let's take 10 minutes here to just let everything be as it is. Now, if you're noticing certain default states of mind arise, maybe you're experienced with a certain practice and you find yourself naturally, focusing on your breath or doing some other practice, that's fine. There's no need to try to change that. You might notice yourself bored or tired or caught up in thought. We're just letting all of that happen. You don't need to expend any effort to change anything or fix anything about what you're experiencing. Just be as you are and see what happens. And if you find yourself wondering, what's the point? Why would we sit here and do nothing at all? I encourage you to just bring a sense of openness and curiosity, like we're kind of running an experiment here. So it's just 10 minutes, and we've only got 7 minutes to go here. Just a 7 minutes left in this experiment to stop trying and see what that feels like. So you can reserve your judgment until after. And really devote yourself fully to not do anything, to not try to do anything, to not put any kind of effort into this moment. We spend so much of our lives pouring effort into this and that, and it's very important. It's a very important part of our lives. But I would contend that it's just as important every now and then to take a few minutes to stop efforting and to just let go and let things be and be okay and accepting with whatever you might be experiencing in this moment, even if what you're experiencing is resistance or anger or frustration or anxiety or depression, or if what you're experiencing is joy and bliss, or if what you're experiencing is neutrality and boredom, tiredness, this whole spectrum of human experience, whatever you might be facing in this moment, just let it be as it is and see what happens. There might be a sense of release here. There might be a sense of acknowledgement and acceptance. There might be nothing special about this experience. It's all okay, whatever you notice. There's a sort of power in taking a moment to let nature run its course, to drop the fight, stop wrestling with everything that's happening, to just acknowledge what is and be here to witness it. In all the exploration I've done of these practices, one of my favorite all-time metaphors is this idea that your experience is like a flowing river, and all the implications of that metaphor are true, that it's kind of pointless to try to stand in the river and put your hands up and see if you can stop it. But at the same time, it has the power to take you away. And what we're doing here is we're just sitting up on the riverbank. We're not fighting the river. We're not swimming. We're not rowing. We're not trying to dive in. We're just letting it flow as it does. Letting your experience flow like the part of nature that it is. This mysterious element of nature that gives you the power to see and to feel and to hear and to experience. To just let that flow for another few minutes now. And now let's take this final minute to put a slight little bit of effort in and bring forward a sense of gratitude, of thankfulness for whatever it is you've experienced in the past 9 minutes, good or bad, strong or weak, neutral, subtle, whatever it might be. Just grateful for this ability to experience it. Ultimately, we don't really know where this conscious experience is coming from. Yet, at the same time, we know that it definitely can be taken away. And so, let's ground ourselves in that insight and feel a sense of thankfulness for this ability we've been afforded to experience whatever's happening, no matter what it is. See if you can get out of your own way. Pour a little gratitude into your river. Let that gratitude mix in with the water and let it flow on by. See what happens. Okay, nice work, everybody. Glad to be here practicing with you. Take your time transitioning out. And right away, I want you to, once you've sort of come out of the practice, to jump over to the chat box here and just share a little bit about what this experience was like for you. Feel free to share if it's your first time doing a practice like this or if this is something you've done before. And also, don't hesitate if you have any questions about it, if anything came up that you might be wondering. One thing I've learned is that if you have a question, I'm sure other people do too. So it can be very generous to ask it. And while I wait for your messages to come in, just want to share a little bit about why this is such an important practice for me. 2 years ago, I did a very long mindfulness retreat where I spent a couple of months in a monastery, and it was my first time like really diving in. And that might seem kind of crazy, like a lot of time in practice, but that's not really the point here. The point is, one of the insights I had when I really sat in a long practice was that a lot of the frameworks and understandings that I had about practices for well-being, whether it's the framework that we have here at the Center for Healthy Minds and Healthy Minds Innovations around awareness, connection, insight, and purpose being core pillars of well-being, or other frameworks and definitions from various evidence-based and even spiritual traditions, there is a sense that all these frameworks are very powerful and useful tools to open something in ourselves as we develop our capacity for well-being, our capacity for connection with other people. But there's also something that I've started to explore, which is that these are also just mental frameworks that are accessing something that might not be as clear-cut as these clear pillars or these clear definitions that we have. And I find this particular practice is something really, really powerful to just remind myself that I have all this understanding, I have all this framework, I have all this thinking about these practices, but sometimes I just need to put that thinking aside and just let the practice happen as it does, and it can be very, very powerful. Hi Liz, I see your comment here. It was interesting, and my mind went back to some childhood memories. Love the river analogy. Yeah, I love the river analogy too. And yeah, there's something kind of interesting about where the mind goes when you let it flow naturally, right? There's something to be learned there about ourselves, that it's almost like we've given ourselves these minutes to let the river flow, but unlike a river which has a very defined groove, we actually can kind of see where the river goes. And for whatever reason, Liz, you went to some childhood memories, and I'm sure you have some very specific memories in mind, and it might be really fascinating to explore and inquire into why those particular memories are coming up. There might be something to be learned there. So I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing another practice day after tomorrow, so come join. I think that will be at 12 Eastern, 11 Central, 8 Pacific. I think I got that right. If I didn't get it right, subscribe to the channel and it'll be announced there. And we're going to be continuing on with this line of letting go. We're going to be continuing with this practice, and I hope you'll join me there. Again, hope you're well, hope you find balance. Don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or thoughts or just want to connect, especially if you're having a hard time finding connection in these challenging times. So thank you. Take care.